Honorable Speaker, as you know, I am a member of the Energy Committee of this House. This morning, we woke up to news that Kenya Power owes 30 billion Kenya shillings out of this same program of rural electrification because the government is pushing power to people who cannot actually sustain that power in terms of paying back the power bills. We see it as a photo obsession for the CS of Energy to go into some hut. You can see the economic situation of that house, Honorable Speaker, when the CS is going to switch on that light. Now, my question is this, and Speaker, in fact, the National Assembly, our sister committee in the National Assembly, is now recommending that in order for Kenya Power to pay back that 30 billion shillings, those of us, again, the working middle class in this country, who can afford to pay, the electricity cost to be raised from July of 2026 in order to raise this 30 billion Kenya shillings to repay the state. So the question to the Cabinet Secretary, and Honorable Speaker, we were in Kilifi County, where the Speaker comes from. The other complaint, and I'm sure you have interacted with this issue, Honorable Speaker, is that you find somebody has been connected to power, yes, but the power is so unreliable and so low voltage, it cannot power a portion mill for that hustler down there to be able to actually run the business. So the question to the Cabinet Secretary, as you push this power to these people, what plans have you as a government put in place to ensure that the people you are connecting that power to, after they get the infrastructure, are in an economic situation where they can actually pay their power bills? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Now, Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond. You have 5 minutes to do so. 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Yes, as I had said earlier on, Honorable Speaker, we continue to support initiatives to generate more power, especially from the renewable energy sources, that is, of course, including solar and wind power. And it must also be pointed out, Honorable Speaker, that investment in power generation is invariably by the private sector. Yeah, and therefore, the private sector, upon its evaluation and based on clear feasibility study, then makes a decision with the support of the government to implement these projects. And therefore, McQueen County is definitely a candidate for such projects in the fullness of time. Honorable Speaker, the 30 or so billion shillings owed to Kenya Power is not on account of non-payment of bills. This is basically money that is owed to Kenya Power by REREC for the purpose of maintenance of lines. And it's something which we are dealing with internally as a sector, Honorable Speaker, and the ministry. And Honorable Speaker, it is not true that the households that we connect to electricity, that majority of them fail to pay bills. We don't have that evidence, Honorable Speaker. Many a time when we go out there to commission and or launch these projects, it is really as a way of rallying the public and sensitizing them on what the government is doing for them insofar as extending electricity is concerned. And if there's any default in electricity bill payment, it can only be as a matter of, it can only be out of individual cases where somebody, of course, can fail to pay bills for one reason or the other, not because of the fact that we are extending these services to those who are unable to. Honorable Speaker, plans for consistent, reliable, and uninterrupted supply of electricity. It is important to point out that we are not just implementing these last mile connectivity projects or programs in isolation. We are looking at this in a holistic manner. as I mentioned, starts with generation, which thankfully we are now able to progress as a result of the lifting of the moratorium. But after we generate, we are also concurrently dealing with the issue of infrastructure for both transmission and distribution. And we invested heavily as government and also with support of partners. Yes, through REREC, through Kenya Power, and through KETRACO. And of course, finally, Honorable Speaker, is the last mile. And therefore, you must look at all this in totality. And all these contribute eventually to a supply which is reliable, consistent, uninterrupted, and more importantly, cost-effective. Honorable Speaker, Wajir County, we have been in touch with the leadership of Wajir County and working very closely with them. We know there have been challenges, especially Wajir Town, as a result of a breakdown in one or two generators that supply that town. I have personally, we've been in touch with the Governor Ahmed Abdullahi and my good friend, the Honorable Member for Wajir East, Honorable Daudi. And we have worked very closely, and I'm happy to report that the restoration of power to normalcy in Wajir town and environs is almost complete. But more importantly, Honorable Speaker, we have got in plans a robust and what I would say transformative project that is going to ensure that we have got a hybrid system in Wajir town, okay? A hybrid system, Honorable Speaker, that will supply some 6 megawatts of electricity to Wajir town and environs, which is comprising of a solar PV and a battery storage system, to the tune of almost 2.8 billion shillings. Almost 2.8 billion shillings. This is a project that we are keen as a ministry to implement successfully, and we are hopeful that come sometime November, December next year, this project will be complete and commissioned. And this is going to address in totality and with finality the issue of power in Wajir town and environs, and indeed, yeah, many parts of Wajir County. I must thank the leadership of Wajir County for working very closely with us as a ministry. Honorable Speaker, as a ministry and through our relevant agencies, we continue to support county governments on a case-by-case basis. These county industrial parks, you know, there are different stages of implementation or development. And therefore, if and when they get completed, we come in very, very fast and support them through Kenya Power. We intend to continue in that trajectory. Honorable Speaker, the AFDB funding, phase 3, okay, that we are just about to implement in some 35 counties, is going to cost some 12 billion shillings. And this project is going to create a very, very big positive impact in terms of our electrification coverage. Honorable Speaker, blackouts in Nandi County must be looked at in the context of the national outlook. Honorable Speaker, I'm very happy to report, and this is something which is evident, that for some time now, we have almost reduced to 0 cases of national blackouts. I'm sure honorable members and honorable Speaker, and members will agree with me that it's long since we had an episode of national blackout. But for the localized blackouts, if and when they occur, we have put in place elaborate systems and mechanisms to ensure that the response time is as short as possible, and that electricity is restored the soonest possible once these blackouts occur. But these localized blackouts, Honorable Speaker, can be attributed to very many factors, but chief of which is the vegetative growth, the trees that sprout and grow along the way leaves. We have worked closely with Kenya Power, and in the past few months, a lot of efforts have been put in terms of cutting down these trees, and this has reduced significantly the number of blackouts. And where the localized blackout is as a result of constraint in the supply, of course, I've said we are implementing a very comprehensive project to ensure that we have got adequate supply in the grid going forward. And this, of course, deals with the issue of Bungoma County and many other places. Honorable Speaker, the question by Honorable Senator Mandago, of course, it's not specific in terms of the cost of procurement by Traco, but I must report to the House, Honorable Speaker, that as a ministry and working closely with our entities, we want to ensure and strive to ensure that there is cost, there is value in every procurement project, Honorable Speaker. There is no problem so far on the matter of meters procurement by Kenya Power. Any small hitches that were there have been resolved, and Kenya Power is on course to have these meters in stores for use by Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. Thank you. Nandi County, of course, has been allocated.
You've responded to Nandi County.
That's been allocated 1.349 billion shillings, which is under implementation. And this is going to connect some 19,000 households, additional, Honorable Speaker, in Nandi County. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable CS. We will now move